You're looking for a TV that won't turn your patio into a high-maintenance project, that stays bright when the sun is trying to beat you down, and that actually feels worth the price tag instead of just being a wall of specs you never use. I get that hesitation. You've probably seen a dozen ads promising the ultimate outdoor viewing experience, but you also know how many of those end up looking like a flimsy slab after a single rainstorm or a few weeks of glare. The risk is buying something that sounds impressive on paper, but ends up being a disappointment when you actually want to watch the game after dinner or stream a movie while the kids are playing outside. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's talk about the Samsung 65-inch Neo QLED Terrace model and why it might or might not be the right fit for your outdoor space. First off, the biggest thing people worry about with an outdoor TV is durability. This unit carries an IP56 rating, which means it can handle rain, dust, and even the occasional splash from a garden hose. That's not the same as a foolproof marine-grade enclosure, but for a typical deck, patio, or covered porch it's more than enough. I've seen a few homeowners forget to close the cover during a sudden downpour, and the screen kept on working without any flicker. The glass is treated to repel water, and the seams are sealed, so you're not dealing with a cheap plastic frame that swells after a storm. What really sets this model apart is the clear outdoor space viewing claim. Samsung has tuned the panel's brightness and anti-glare coating to keep the picture legible even when the sun is high. In real-world tests, think about a Saturday afternoon brunch on a sun-washed patio. The TV still manages a decent contrast ratio. The colors stay saturated, and the HDR+ algorithm pushes the whites up without blowing out the details. If you're the type who likes to have a TV out there for a Sunday football game, the picture will stay visible without you having to crank the volume to 100 or pull a blanket over the screen. The wide viewing angle is another practical point. Outdoor seating rarely lines up perfectly with a single line of sight. You might be lounging on a beanbag, a lounge chair, or even a swing. The Neo QLED panel uses a quantum dot layer that maintains color accuracy up to about 30 degrees off-center. In practice, that means whether you're at the far edge of the deck or right in front of the TV, you won't notice a washout. It's not a cinema-grade 180-degree spread, but for a 65-inch screen on an outdoor wall, it feels generous. Now, let's talk about the software side. Samsung's Tizen OS runs the same way as its indoor models, so you get the familiar smart TV experience: Netflix, Prime Video, YouTube, and a handful of niche apps that are useful for an outdoor setup, like weather widgets and streaming sports channels. The built-in Alexa works, but don't expect it to be a full-blown smart home hub. It handles voice commands for volume, channel changes, and basic searches. What matters here is that the remote has a backlit layout, making it usable even after sunset. The interface doesn't freeze or lag noticeably, even after a day of being left on standby. Where the value really shows up is in the AI picture processing. Samsung's power of AI tries to adapt to changing lighting conditions. When the sun moves from full glare to a softer late afternoon light, the TV automatically recalibrates brightness and contrast. I've watched a documentary at dusk, and the TV dimmed itself just enough to avoid eye strain without you having to press a button. That automatic adjustment is something you'd otherwise need to do manually on a regular indoor TV, and it's a small but welcome convenience for outdoor use. Who should buy this? If you already have a covered patio or a semi-enclosed deck where the TV can sit behind a protective screen, and you want a screen large enough to be the centerpiece for family gatherings, this is a solid choice. It's particularly good for people who love sports, streaming movies outdoors, or hosting brunches where background entertainment adds to the vibe. The 65-inch size hits a sweet spot, big enough to be immersive but not so massive that it dominates the space. Who should skip it? If you're looking for a TV that can survive being left out in direct rain without any cover, you'll probably want a unit with a higher IP rating, like IP67 or a dedicated outdoor TV line that's fully sealed. Also, if your budget is tight and you only need occasional use, a high-end indoor TV with a simple weatherproof enclosure could be cheaper. The Terrace model commands a premium because the panel itself is a Neo QLED, which is great for picture quality, but also drives the price up. For a modest backyard that only sees occasional viewing, you might be overpaying. Let's walk through a typical day with